looking at that, I think everybody realizes that, oh, I was going to do 10 iterations of glue, and you would be correct. So what did I just do? Creating a constant. When you're operating on your block diagram, you can go to really anything and do this right click, create constant. Yeah, here it is for this one, create constant. What it's going to do, there's a difference between a front panel object and like a front panel numeric and a constant numeric that you just put in the block diagram and wire a hard-coded value in. So you can hard-code values in LabVIEW. Any sort of data type that you see, any variable, number, array, anything, string, you can go right-click on it and say create control, and LabVIEW will create that data type filled with you can put any numbers you want, and it will be a constant that you can use in your block diagram. So this is how you do constants. You could also do a constant in your code by creating a front panel object, by right-clicking. I could have done this. I could say create control. And then boom, it creates a numeric. If I double-click the numeric, it patches through to the front panel. And you can see there it is, numeric 2. I could have put my 10 in that. And I could, instead of using this block diagram 10 that never changes, I could wire this number right here to this, and that's going to give me control. That's going to allow me to front panel control during execution of the number of iterations. So you have to make a decision in your mind when you're determining, do I want this to be a value that's going to be a constant that never changes? I'll put it in the block diagram. And I don't want to trouble the user with that value or confuse the user. It's not relevant to my program. I might put it in the block diagram if it's something that I want to be able to control later. And so I want us to be able to control this with the little program I'm writing. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to say, I'm going to call it loop iterations. So I now have control. When I run my program, I can dial in the number of loops, the number of iterations. Okay? Now, I'm going to take my numeric here. What I said was going to be powers of 2, right? Okay? So I'm going to take my numeric here, and I'm going to start it out with a 2 in there. Okay. All right, here's one more thing to add confusion to your life, that you need to assimilate this one. It's the concept of default values in these different variables that we're using. All right, so I put a constant into the block diagram earlier, and then I put a number in it, right? And then these two right here, these two controls on my front panel, they have numbers in it. There's a 2 and a 10 in it. I just type those in. Well, in order to get LabVIEW to save those values into those boxes so that next time you're going to close the program, you might open it back up, you want those same values to show up. You don't want them to reset back to 0. You've got to set that as explicitly tell LabVIEW that you want to make that the value. So the way you do that is you go over here to this edit, and you click on it and you say make current values default. As soon as you do that, LabVIEW now understands that those values are default. However, we have not saved that into the file. So then after you do that, say File, save your program. I know that's a little crazy, but when you make them default, the values default, you're telling LabVIEW, those are the default values. You've made a change in LabVIEW, but you haven't saved. In order to save those default values into that VI, you've got to save the program.
I'm sorry, where did you get the option to make default?
You go to, let me cancel it.
Edit,
and say,
make default.
Yeah, it's under the edit menu, make current values default. And I think you can do it from both. Yeah, it's under both sides. Just edit, and it's about 7 or 8 down, 6 or 7 down.
So it's not by specific control.
It is by specific control as well. Now check it out. I can go over here to this control and right click on it and go to data operations, make current values default.
Ah,
Now, what's the distinction? The distinction is when you do it this way, it just makes the one that I clicked on, it just changes the default value for the control I clicked on. If I do it globally it's gonna change all of them throughout the whole program.
gotcha.
So you.
Beware.
Yes, beware, and that's gonna be a very, very important fact. That's something that, is one of those little things in LabVIEW that you just have to know. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and save my program. We've got LabVIEW class. Okay, this is dummy powers of 2. Oh, I did just save as. I don't need to just do a file save and overwrite my dummy powers of 2. And because the program existed before and had different default values in, once I changed those default values and then did save it, overwrote the zeros that were there as the default values previously. So that's what's up with default values. You might have a waveform in a program that you wrote. You hooked it up to a scope and you've got a cool looking waveform. You acquire it and then you might make that the default and save it in. That way when your customer opens that up, they get that cool waveform. There it is. So that's what you use that for.
When I created a wire from my loop iterations to the control, where we originally put in 10 in the upper right left hand corner, you get a little red X. And I clicked on it, it says list the errors. Wire has loose ends. That's a different error that I had before.
Try Control B.
Control
B.
Control B.
Just to see if it goes away.
It did.
Yes, that is bad wires. That is nix bad wires. Kill bad wires. Control B. You can remember that. Bad wires B. I like it. It gets rid of bad wires. Sometimes it gets it right. It depends on how the AI is doing that day.
And now it's like,
Now you might create new problems with that too. Sometimes it's Control B, make more bad.
What's the proper way to connect a wire between two things?
Okay, that's
apparently I'm not doing something right.
That's an excellent question, but can I, let me do this. Let me complete this
Sure.
thought, and then we'll go back to wiring a little bit more carefully because there's a few things. When NI does the class, they walk through all this stuff in just painful detail, and a lot of it you can pick up, but there are some things that you just are key and you have to know